Aloha and welcome to the second episode of Hawaii Farmers Series, where we hear the stories of Hawaii's local farmers as well as their supporters. I'm your host, Justine Espiritu, and this is my co-host, Matthew Johnson.
Hello.
Today we have two guests for our second episode. We have Michael Whalen with Love Nalo, a new cafe that opened in Waimanalo, who has also kind of started through a catering business, Crave Lifestyle. And we also have Jennifer Hee of Juicy Brew with a similar situation, started out as a catering business. And why did we want them on today, Matt?
So, thanks, Justine. So, we're definitely focusing on the farmers, but we also want to focus on those who are supporting the farms. So, we're talking about the entire local food system. So, of course, the farms are looking for outlets for the local food to go to. And what better place than chefs that we have with us today who can take those products and turning into something really tasty, healthy, that they can then serve to their customers.
And so we're excited to hear kind of why you guys have any kind of focus on local, what that means of how you connect to the community as well as your consumers. And you guys, I'm always fascinated with people's stories of how they even got involved with food and agriculture in general. So excited to hear that from you guys. So why don't we start with, one second. If you guys have any questions or comments and anything you want to add to the conversation, feel free to tweet us at ThinkTech High on Twitter. Okay, Jennifer.
How did I get into cooking initially and using local food?
Let's kind of just hear your story of how you got involved or interested in food and ended up with a cafe. I'm not sure if you kind of grew up with that vision and you've been every step has led to that, or
every step did not lead to this, to where I am today. I mean, I have a bachelor's in psychology, so after that I was teaching and counseling, and it was actually when I was in the Peace Corps in Bulgaria working as a youth development volunteer that I was sort of thrust into the food world just because I had to provide for myself and only use what was available seasonally. This was over 10 years ago when, you know, the farm to table movement was just starting to get going in America. So I was told, and plus I wasn't a foodie, so I had no idea about any of that. But just in my own personal life, I'm like, I have to cook for myself, I have to make everything from scratch, and in the winter there's only cabbage. Or, you know, so it was like having that challenge, and I just got used to that and was passionate about it after a couple years of doing that. And I was also amazed by how everyone provided there. I have to flick my hair.
Don't mess with the microphone.
I was also amazed by how everyone in Bulgaria in my village just grew their own food. It was just normal to them.
Yeah.
No one I knew in my neighborhood in Hawaii Kai actually was actively, consciously growing their own food when I was growing up, which seems so strange to me now.
So it's a cultural thing in Bulgaria.
It's just absolutely normal. I mean, there's no question. You grow your own food, you can it for the winter. So when I moved back to America, I just became a cook in a small natural food store. And then when I moved home, I brought that, those skills I had picked up with me. So I absolutely do not have a culinary background. And so after that, I became interested in permaculture and took up the permaculture design course here and learned more about sort of ecological design systems and methods of growing that are more sustainable. And so through that, I started incorporating more local ingredients. So that's how
But that's awesome. I mean, it's one thing to be kind of conscious of that kind of cycle and connection, and it's another to decide you're going to start like an enterprise or a business off of that and something you want to like create and share with others.
Right. I mean, I think just through the permaculture design course and getting connected to small growers, developing relationships with those growers made it way more exciting than ordering from a spreadsheet from a distributor every week the ingredients I was going to use, and actually going to the farms and hearing about what they're growing and, you know, feeling their the shared excitement, you know, of what I would do with their ingredients. It just made it way more meaningful than, just ordering produce. Sort of.
So then other than just cooking the food, you're actually going out there and you're part of the permaculture design course. So that's where you're kind of like...
Well, that's just where I made the connections.
Intercropping different crops together, and that's where you met a lot of the
sort
growers.
of mimicking forest systems, trying, just the opposite of monocropping in modern day agriculture.
And then how did you, and then you started with the catering thing.
I started Actually, my sister and I were cooking for a deli in Hawaii Kai called Kale's Natural Foods. And after it closed, I was sort of dabbling in catering, but I wasn't really sure where to go. And then we got picked up by the owner of Juicy Brew, who created that cafe and had heard about my sister and I and took us under his wing. So yeah, we started cooking for that cafe.
So tell us a little bit about Juicy Brew then. What is Juicy Brew? How can we find it?
Juicy Brew is in a medical building on Beretania and Keomoku. It's the Halepawa'a building. It's in the lobby. So the doctor who started that business, he's an orthopedic surgeon and also a top doctor with Honolulu Magazine. His name is Dr. Gary Blum.
Wow.
I like to give him a hard
Okay.
time about that. So he also he saw the connection between health, wellness, and providing healthy food. Like, why would a medical building provide only spam musubi to people who are sick? So he's like, I'd love to be able to provide healthy food and to also support local agriculture. I'm not sure how he made those connections, but I was like, we're exactly on the same page and the same mission. So I would love to help you create a cafe. I have the connections with the farmers. You have the space. Like, I will fill it with deliciousness. So we've been doing that for almost a year now, and we've already outgrown our space. So we're going to open another location in Kaimuki next month on Waialae 8th. So
And have two different
we
ones?
have two.
Or?
It'll both be Juicy Brew, but it'll just be two separate locations. Hopefully in Kaimuki we'll be able to attract just more people who are seeking out our kind of food. So the people who find us now are not necessarily interested in local food. I mean, I'm grateful that I can expose them to it, but it's not necessarily what they're looking for. They definitely want to look for the spam musubi.
Yeah. They're still coming up and asking where it is, but you kind of lead them in a different
Yeah, I
direction.
try to confuse them.
It's interesting when you kind of decide to take that approach. Do you want to change people's minds by just talking about the environmental effects of where you're sourcing your food from, or kind of like the list, but if you trick them into coming into your store or like give them a meal, just the taste of it and the new things they're trying, they fall in love with it that way without even really knowing.
Yeah, I agree, but as a business model, it's a little more challenging to work that way. A lot of people just perhaps walk away when we don't have what they're looking for. But I know I'm glad the people who do try it, who are willing to try it, are absolutely excited about it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So I think there's some similarities to your stories. Let's get a little bit of background about Love Nalo and how you guys have come into this situation.
Yeah, I started a catering company with my partner, Kate, Crave Lifestyle, and it just started with a cookbook that I wanted to send out to friends and family, and just so they have access to just a plant-based style of food. And that turned into Kate and I always cooking together for each other and for friends, doing dinner parties. And I got thrown in by a couple of friends, my friend Garrett and Nicole, and I did this 1 week, just kind of like a food challenge madness for this actress in high-end beachfront property, and they loved it. And that kind of catapulted me to kind of connect with Kate, start Crave, and I think about 8 months later, we did this catering event and met Kevin, who was the owner of a restaurant in Waimanalo, the Sweet Home, and they were shutting it down, and he wanted to do something that we're doing now. More of that farm to table style, supporting local farms, and then just supporting the community more so than anything else. I never wanted to, I say this all the time, I never wanted to open up a restaurant. That was the last thing I ever wanted to do. And it still is. But this is more than a restaurant. It's so community driven. Everyone on the team is like family. And we bring in the entire community. So not just tourists or anything like that. It's if you have an avocado tree, you have extra avocados, bring it by. If we can use produce, and if it's farmers, if it's people in the community that just have extra fruit or vegetables, they bring it by. It's pretty amazing, like what we're doing. So, as for the food, like Jen was saying, it definitely is a challenge, but when you're making this food and you have an amazing story and a great team, and that kind of like you were saying, that's how we present it. And eat the food, and people end up loving the food, and coming back for more. It's pretty awesome. So.
That's cool. I mean, I think everyone, like what you said, or both of you, you never wanted to open a restaurant. Like we have these ideas of this is what it means to have a restaurant. It's really stressful. It's really challenging. But when you approach it or have a different system where, realizing the role you guys have in the community or how food can kind of build that community, it's a totally different game you're playing there.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's cool to see.
I mean, I've worked in restaurants from a busboy to a waiter and lounges, throughout. And there's always this same vibe that comes from the kitchen, and everyone, it's very tense and it's a little bit rigid. The people that work in our kitchen, they say it's the most calm that they've ever worked. It's nice and it's peaceful and everyone's loving. And we put that into the food. The food comes out when you first walk in. From the ownership to the staff, like everyone takes ownership in what they're doing, and everyone has a great experience. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Mike, talk a little bit about like what kind of food can we expect if we go to I Love Nalo? Like what's on the menu? Like give us some examples.
So I have like my favorites growing up, and that my grandmother used to make here, and I snatched a recipe from my auntie Keiki. So it's, the first two items on are the Lao and the luau, and everything's plant-based, and we try to source as much local food as possible, or ingredients as possible, and everything we want it to be is kind of full and hearty. So if you are not a vegetarian or vegan, or you don't eat plant-based, you can still come to the restaurant, eat the food, and be full. I mean, that's the main thing, because I wasn't plant-based until about 5 or 6 years ago. So that was my whole thing, is take my favorite dishes that I love, make them plant-based, make them hearty. Good food is good food, and when you're full, you're full. So we have the local stuff, and then we also have like a little bit of Mediterranean. So we have the Medi plate, which is, baba ganoush and tabbouleh and falafel and stuff like that. And we cut the falafel with a local kalo, and so we just have that little bit of everything. Grilled portobello sandwiches, they're barbecue, so everything's homemade. The barbecue sauce is homemade, and it's just hearty and good. I mean, I think it's good. People think it's good. So.
Yeah, that sounds really beautiful and diverse.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we can do is just we put our heart into it, and hopefully people will like it. So.
And one thing that you were saying that I liked was the part about that it's not just tourists coming by, but it's actually well-rounded amount of people that are coming in there.
Yes. I mean, even from some of the barbecue hotspots that are over there, the owners of the barbecue, like the steak shops and stuff, I mean, they come over and they have dinner. So it's a community-driven, very local Hawaiian. They come in, and it's everyone's enjoying it. It's a nice spot. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I kind of want to hear more about, I feel like local or even vegan-focused restaurants are kind of a common thing in other cities, but I'm curious to learn a little bit more about kind of your guys' niche and business model and how that fits into Hawaii here. So we're going to take a quick break and then come back to that.
Aloha, I'm Kirsten Baumgart-Turner, and I host Sustainable Hawaii every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. My guests offer insights on challenging economic and environmental issues facing our state and offer innovative solutions to increasing Hawaii's long-term sustainability. Recently, we've been focusing on sustainable land development, food, and energy security. If you have a project or issue you'd like to discuss on the show or would like to be a guest, please contact me at kirstenbturner@gmail.com. And tune in live weekly or view the show at your convenience at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.
Aloha! How you doing? It's me, Angus McTech, wishing you to welcome and join us to see us on Hibachi Talk on ThinkTech Hawaii. Join my co-hosts, Gordo the Tech Czar and Andrew the Security Guy, every Friday from 1300 to 1345. We look forward to seeing you. We'll talk tech and we'll have some wee bit of fun. And remember, let your wing gang free wherever you be. Aloha!
Aloha and welcome back to episode number 2 of the Hawaii Farmers Series. I'm your host, Justine Espiritu, and this is my co-host, Matthew Johnson.
Hello.
Today's guests are Jennifer Hee with Juicy Brew and Michael Whalen with Love Nalo. So we just heard some beautiful descriptions of what you can find at Love Nalo, and I want to hear something about what we have at Juicy Brew. We have some pictures you sent over that are just super gorgeous, colorful, vibrant. So if you can kind of do the same thing, explain a couple of your favorite dishes or...
Well, actually, the model that we use we just have a cold case. We're not a restaurant where we have service and all that, just kind of grab and go. I totally forgot what I was talking about.
Oh, just some of the dishes that you guys do, you know, what we can find.
So yeah, so our model is that it changes all the time, so I never know what I'm going to get in. So I kind of make different salads based on whatever is available from the farms that week. So it could be like that soba salad. It'll always kind of be the same base of soba with our tahini tamari dressing, but the vegetables might change. Like when watermelons were popping every day, you know, we had the beautiful watermelon radishes and beets from Kakumana Farm. So it varies. I mean, I always try to have a soup, but it'll have different ingredients, obviously. There's always different salads. I always do baked goods, and I always try to incorporate local produce into the baked goods as well, whether it's ulu mochi, ulu cinnamon rolls, basically ulu everything, ulu flatbreads, ulu pizzas. Yes.
That's cool, and I think that brings up, you know, something, again, of what our idea of a restaurant and a chef and how they source stuff. What I hear of why chefs and restaurants, it's hard to source locally because they want like a one-stop shop distributor. So
And they want the consistent.
yeah, they
very
want consistent. You know, they
consistent,
have
yeah.
these menus that they're like, this is what our customers, we want them to rely on, or people come in, they expect that.
Yes.
So can you guys kind of touch on what that kind of means to you, if you guys have a set menu, and how that kind of works with trying to be as committed to local as you can?
Well, it's easy for me because I change my stuff, you know, on a weekly basis. So, but it is hard to sort of modify customer thinking because they'll be like, 2 weeks ago, I had this amazing beet salad that I want again. And I'm like, we don't have beets this week, so I made a different salad, so you can try this. So yeah, people definitely want the same things every week. So that's just sort of their mindset. So trying to open it up to be like, well, there's something different this week, and you could try
And
it.
how has the response been to that?
It's a little hit and miss because people, they get attached to their favorites, and but I don't know, we're working on it. So
Yeah.
I don't have the answers.
So,
I mean,
how about you?
we have a set menu, and we'll bring in specials like desserts and stuff like that once in a while. But it's another set of problems. You have a set menu and you want to be as local as possible. So it's always sourcing that to have. So what we basically did was we took just the usual that you can get on the island a lot.
And what's that for Hawaii or Oahu?
Yeah, for Oahu, so it's like a lot of the greens, a lot of the kales for the, that we get, and we try to find everything, like try to start in Waimanalo and then branch out from there. And there's always it's like some of the roots, like beets, are always like a major thing, and it's like small kind farms, portobellos, and you know, we try to really hone in on these certain aspects and certain ingredients so we can have them all the time. Like you said, like the people come in and their favorite is this, and she runs into her set of problems and we run into our sets, because sometimes it's like this summer, a lot of people got wiped out from their greens and the portos and stuff like that. So we were like scrambling, trying to source other means of greens, trying to source other means of mushroom, trying to source, and you're just kind of in this own scramble and trying to put out the same dish all the time. So yeah, it is. I don't know. I don't know the method.
Yeah, I know. Like we're all trying to figure it out.
I don't know what it is.
It's complicated.
Yeah, it is
for sure.
very complicated.
So with it's interesting you guys are using slightly different models in how you're making your menu, but what items would you want to see? So if you guys have relationships with the farms, what are some additional items that you think may possibly be grown in Hawaii that you would like to see? Because a lot of times we talk to, beginning farmers, and they're always asking, what should we grow? What should we grow? And I usually try and tell them, well, anything that you can sell, yeah? That's always a good place to start. So actually tell them to talk to chefs like yourself. So what would be some items that you'd like to see more of, or that you just don't really see that you think, I mean, obviously there's certain items that just cannot be grown in Hawaii, but what do you think is what pukas are out there?
Well, certain things like that is sort of not even in my mind anymore because, you know, organic celery I could never get. I just stopped using it.
Yeah, me too.
So I don't know what I only feel abundance. I don't feel like I'm lacking.
I would like mango season to be year-round.
Oh, yes. Ulu's all year, please. If someone could work that out, that'd be
Well, then on that note, what are things that then have been prevalent in Hawaii that you were introduced to? Was that like ulu?
Ulu, for sure. Cassava.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, there's always a lot of greens. What was I introduced to?
Yeah, I mean, the ulu, even for us, that's in our Hawaiian dishes. So it's in the luau, it's in the lauau. And so right now, I'm already looking at the fact that ulu is going to be out of season at some point. So we're just trying to harvest and get as much as we can. And we were talking about that the last couple of days, and whether it be freeze or preserve or something, so we can continue that over. But like Jen said about the celery, there's a point where all of that just kind of leaves, and you focus on what is here, and what is seasonal, and those are the tweaks that you can actually have. You can just kind of mess around with it, and you don't really need celery all the time. You don't really need like certain items.
Yeah, again, it's, you know, when we talk to people about considering and being conscious of what's local, we're so used to going to the grocery store and just everything accessible from everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
And the idea that, no, you can't get this at a certain time, and using that as an opportunity, well, let's try something else. So I think restaurants and chefs have a really unique opportunity to introduce folks to that. Whether they want to receive that is a different story.
Well, yeah, that was kind of like when we started this venture, it was changing. Everyone uses the 85% imported and 15% that we get from here, and that's kind of like a standard number. We wanted to get to a point where we flip that around, where we're only using 15% import and 85% local. But as we started, we wanted to be 50-50 and then just grow and grow and grow, because it is tough. And there's a lot of stuff that we love, you know, like tahini and tamari, and just like the ingredients and the seasonings that we love that we put into our food. So it can't really be 100%, but definitely want to reach that goal of 85 and just flip that number around, which is nice.
Now, are you guys making any, so like you're talking about like tahini and some of these different like traditional, I guess, products that would have ingredients that you cannot find in Hawaii, but have you guys created any more like local versions of these sauces using substitute products that you've been able to create?
I have not, Matt.
Not one? Not one at all?
No, not one.
Wow.
There were like, for us, there were like these vinaigrettes that we would make, and Kate made this amazing like papaya seed vinaigrette, and so on our dressings we would challenge ourselves a couple of times where we wanted to do a 100% locally sourced meal, and we did that for dinner parties, and that just kind of, you know, you want to make sauces and you want to make dressings, and you really have to find the lemons instead of the apple cider vinegar, and find all these different sources to make dressings, and we've done that a few times, and it's great. It's a great challenge, and it kind of puts you in a position where it is possible. Like we can be self-sufficient here on these islands and just trade through the islands itself, you know. So it's cool.
So would you guys like to see other restaurants kind of take on that initiative as well, to incorporate 85-90% of their ingredients to be local, or would that kind of get into your niche market then? Or how do you guys kind of see?
Absolutely not. I'm on Team Farmer, so I want them all to be able to. I mean, we're so small, I feel bad that I cannot purchase more. Like, there's only so much I can buy every week.
Yeah.
So I wish they had more outlets. I mean, there's how many restaurants in Waikiki? Like, why?
And do you think there is the customer demand to make that switch? You know, it's, I think a lot of people say, oh, if the customers ask for it, then we'll get that. So what would be the route then to move closer to that?
I don't think the customers definitely necessarily know what's available, and it's, especially the tourist customers, and it's up to chefs to sort of start to like introduce the new ingredients that they might not be as familiar with.
Right, so you're throwing the ball back in your guys' court.
Yeah,
Take that
definitely.
responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, we're
and-
all, trying to have a more sustainable food system, so.
Yeah, and it's really difficult too, and just being a person shopping. So if you walk into any grocery store, the abundance of the produce or the entire store is not local products, and so when that's in your face every day, it's difficult to make a change, and so it has to come from somewhere. I don't know where that comes from, but maybe just education or just a change in lifestyle. And then even the farmers markets, you have to really know the vendor, and you have to speak with them and ask them where their food is coming from, because a lot of times you go to the farmers markets and they're pulling stuff from distribution and just throwing it on there. A lot of this stuff isn't local. Broccoli and a lot of celery and a lot of stuff, it's not local, but they're selling it at the farmers markets. So I think there's a couple of towns that I lived in throughout the years, and one was Laguna Beach, and their farmers market, everything that was being sold from there had to be like locally sourced in California, and that was, or it wouldn't be there. And that was really nice. So it was questions of the practice, that was always the question, but not where it came from. So it was always like within that area. So it was really nice. It was comforting.
I think that reminds me of another point of, I think people are so conscious of food right now, and there's so many questions like, well, is it organic? Is it local? Which one's more important? Which is kind of can be overwhelming, but it's also great that it's on folks' radar.
But I feel like it's on folks' radar in our community. I feel like most of the people I engage with are growers and other chefs, and interacting with sort of a wider customer demographic. Most people don't really care, or from my experience. Just who coming in off the street, they're not really interested in where I've sourced, or that they want to know why it's more expensive, or
Yeah, and a lot of people they don't know to care. So that's a thing. It's just it's my duty. I'm going to say it's our duty to really voice what we're doing all the time, even if nobody wants to hear about it. Like when you come into the doors, it's like this long spiel of what we're doing.
It's
you want
awesome.
to hear it or you don't want to hear it.
So you do put it out there every time.
Yeah, we have to
so-
put it every time. It's on our board. It's on everything. It's our mission statement. It's everything. So it's just kind of our duty to do that.
That's awesome.
But I would love to see. It's a slow transition, which is good for the farmers, so they can ease into it. But if more and more restaurants, which they are, I think a lot of restaurants are getting on board, but if more and more come in at a slow rate, get the farmers to ease in. And
I think that's a good point right there. I think we say, oh, we want all the restaurants to incorporate more local, but the reality is we don't even have that supply right now.
Right.
So we're going to take another quick break and then kind of get even more into Hawaii-specific issues on this.
Hi, my name is Cindy Matsuki, and I host the show High Growth with HTDC on ThinkTech Hawaii. This is the show where we talk about all things tech, innovation, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing, because there's so many things going on in Hawaii and more people should know about them. So this is the program that you can come and find out about all the things happening in Hawaii. And this show also airs on Olelo 54 along with ThinkTech Hawaii. And it broadcasts live every other Tuesday at 3 p.m. So don't forget, check out the show Tuesday, 3 p.m. every other week. High Growth with HTDC. Thanks.
How's it? I'm Damon,
I'm Joe.
and we're the Lola Brothers.
We are the Lola Brothers.
We are the Lola Brothers. Hey, join us each week where we'll have wacky animations and adventures, and you'll get to hang out with one of our amazing friends. We'll talk about music and what
Life
else?
in general.
Life in general. All right.
Current events.
Current events.
Technology.
You can tweet us at ThinkTechHI.
Tweet us. We enjoy
And
it.
every Thursdays at 5 o'clock.
Thursday.
Join us.
5.
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I'm a senator from the Big Island and ER physician. Every other Tuesday, I get to host a show here on the ThinkTech program about healthcare. We call it Healthcare in Hawaii. It's really enjoyable for me to bring other healthcare leaders from around the state to talk about our pressing issues.
Aloha, and we're back again for another episode of Hawaii Farmers Series. I am your co-host, Matt Johnson, here with Justine Espiritu. And our guests today are Jen Hee from Juicy Brew, and we also have Michael Whalen from I Love Nalo, two restaurateurs, caterers, who are talking about their relationship with our local farms and how they're creating a revolution, trying to change their menus and using local, not just what is on their menu, but mixing in with what's available from the farms and really creating that stronger relationship. So kind of moving on to the next part of our story, what we want to do is talk about, how do we get more restaurants and more farms connected? And really, how do we move the bar where you guys are helping to create the market? But Jen, like you were saying, is that you're still just kind of a small restaurant, and there's only so much you can buy. So how do we create a stronger support network for the farms?
Wow. That's quite a question.
You gotta watch out when Justine lets me take over. I'm coming in hot.
I don't. Since I didn't go to culinary school, I'm not sure like how much is taught about using local ingredients and making connections with local farmers. But maybe that could be integrated, or maybe there could be some, just local cooking 101 sort of classes. Why don't you start that?
Well, so, we were talking before, that's definitely like an educational part that has to happen with the customers, where,
chefs.
Mike, you were saying also, like, it's all part of the mission that you guys have it, and you're constantly saying over and over again what you guys are trying to accomplish. And probably some of your customers really appreciate that. That may be the specific reason why they're coming to see you. But then you're going to have some customers that are there just because they're there, they're hungry, they want some food now. So it's really kind of that combination of the two. But then with kind of working with other chefs, it's interesting where you have these niche restaurants, maybe, but then you have places like Zippy's that are starting to use more local product as well now. I think maybe a couple of years ago, they started using ground beef from the Big Island in their chili. So, but once again, it's interesting to see like how much of their customers are thinking about that, caring about that. You have to imagine that they are, because, that I'm sure it's an additional cost for Zippy's. So I think we are slowly and surely seeing it in even more of the mainstream, larger restaurants. But then, figuring out how do we do more of it?
Yeah.
You're gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
I'm curious of other cities you guys have lived in, and I'm not, since you both kind of fell into the restaurant or cafe business here, if you can compare our situation to other cities.
Yeah, do you want me to? Speak so well.
Before we couldn't hear the stop, now she's like, no, all you guys.
No, there was before. I don't know. I just loved cooking. I still don't think as myself as a chef. I just cook food. People like it. It's great. It works.
New slogan for
for
Crave Lifestyle.
That's it. But I just remember. I keep bringing up when I was in California. There were a few restaurants in Laguna, and when we would go to the farmers market, I would see the chefs, like when they were like prepping in the morning. We'd all get there, and it would be like 8 in the morning, get the fresh produce, and these guys would be there in their chef suits, and they're picking out, and they're going to the farms, and they're picking. I love that. That whole thing was like, it was, because it's not easy. It's not easy to run a kitchen or run a restaurant and then go to the farmer's market. I did it last night. I left the restaurant at 6:30. I went to the farm's. I didn't get home till 8, and you have to pack everything and wake up the next morning. It's difficult. It's very difficult and time consuming. But the great thing is there's a trend right now, whether it's inorganic or in this lifestyle of yoga or a conscious lifestyle. There is this trend. It's happening. The green lifestyle, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people are jumping on board. And whether it's Zippy's or Foodland or any of these other places that are just doing it because it's a trend or doing it because it's cool or whatever it is, it's happening. So that's a great thing, which makes our job easier. Because I think if maybe 10 years ago we opened up a plant-based restaurant in Waimanalo, I don't know. I don't know if it would have happened. But even now, before we open, a lot of people are like, I don't understand why you're going to do that in Waimanalo. Why don't you just open it in Kailua? That'd be much easier. Or open it in town, it's going to be easier. But they're still saying that now, but I think there's a trend and it's happening. So when people come and they're coming into the restaurant, it's cool and it's really nice. I'm not really surprised because it's happening. It's all happening. It's all great. Slow, and it's been slow, but it's definitely happening.
Any
Was that even the
thoughts?
question?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that what's it gonna take, or how fast that shift is happening, and what about you compared in other cities, kind of comparing where Hawaii's at with that? I mean, because we're in a unique situation where maybe, I feel like the local food trend is across the U.S., across the world, but for Hawaii, it's a little bit more of a dire situation, if dire is the right word. Yeah, so
I think that is the right word. I mean, if we're importing 85% of the food, and I mean, we're a little speck in the ocean, I mean, that's huge. That's huge. So if we're importing all that, I mean, again, it's a slow transition, but we need to be mindful of that subject and make it happen.
So we're definitely talking about like the importance of supporting the farmers, but how about in the sense of the product that you guys are then creating in terms of the health benefits and I mean, there's that whole aspect of it too, where, I mean, I imagine you guys feel that you're creating a better product with the local ingredients that you're able to get. I mean, can you talk a little bit about that? Like because we all say, oh, support local, support your farms, but then on like the quality of the food, like what is it? What do you see? And I mean, you guys are in it every day.
Well, I mean, that's part of at least our mission. It doesn't have to be turned into healthy food, but for what I'm trying to do, it definitely is. But you could definitely make, deep fried cassava, so,
It does sound good.
but I try to make the ingredients into wholesome meals as well, and being plant-based as possible. So to have them be healthy as well as using, the best ingredients possible is definitely my mission. But it definitely doesn't have to be that way. You can make,
Yeah, and there's
healthy stuff.
when we make a call to a farmer in Waimanalo and they pick eggplant, for example, and then they bring it to the kitchen and it was picked 10 minutes ago.
Wow.
There's a nutrient value difference than it being picked in California or wherever it is and then packed, shipped on a bar, however that it comes here. There's a huge difference in nutrient value, and then we turn that into a plant-based meal. It's the whole kitchen gets crazy when we call up the guys in, for the mushroom or the eggplant or Green Rose Farms, and they bring over the avocado, whatever, the greens, or Scott and Cato, and they're bringing over their hydroponics, whatever it is, the whole place there's this energy that happens because it was just picked and then we're putting it on the plate, and sometimes it'll be just picked and put on the plate, and all of that happens in an hour. Wow. And it's fresh and it's green and it literally.
I feel like you need like a bell or fireworks when you have like one of those plates and a customer gets it, and like you want them to understand like this literally just came from the farmer. Like
I have goosebumps
today.
right now.
You
Thinking there's sometimes when that happens and it all works out that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's magical. It's magical.
Yeah.
I imagine all the staff is like standing around the person as they eat it, waiting for their reaction.
We're always staring. We're peeking in the window. We're looking at, seeing what people. I mean, and there we have. Customers that come out and they see it happen. Everything is in the open because there's the outside kitchen or the mobile kitchen and then the restaurant and all of the windows and all of the veg just gets brought in. Everyone sees what we have, so it's out in the open.
And I mean, that scene you just painted for us is like so different from when we talked about, restaurants, they want efficiency. They want to get all their stuff from one distributor, and that means a van driving up, someone unloading it that has no connection to it or anything. And so then when we talk about like needing to scale up of our, if you guys are just kind of small cafes, what is that really going to be like for larger size restaurants? Can they have that same experience of, can they just accept and have kind of that chaos of farmers dropping off stuff, farmers texting them, do you want my collars? like how will we have to make a new system to scale up in that way? Or?
Well, I think what Oahu Fresh is doing is starting to address that challenge. And I mean, it's sort of the same concept, but aggregating from only local farms and consolidating it and delivering it to, multiple restaurants and making it more convenient for chefs, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's, what's that? Passing the
Yeah,
mic?
that was
Passing the mic to
Was
Mike.
it subtle?
Yeah, I mean, it is a challenge. I wouldn't know how, I don't even know how we're doing it at this point. And it's a team. It's Kevin, Malia, Kate, myself. It's Raphael. It's everyone. It's Ava, Alex. Everyone, all of the team comes together and and they all make it happen. And there's probably 10 of us, and it's all 10 of us, and we all come together in every aspect. On a larger scale, I mean.
So that's still
have no
kind of
idea.
to be determined.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully we'll get there and we'll have some answers.
Matt's going to figure it out.
We'll have you guys back on 10 episodes from now.
Yeah.
Better have the answers.
So we only have 2.65 minutes left.
Okay.
Let's
Well,
do something.
How about you guys tell us something interesting that's happened with a customer then? Like some kind of reaction that they've had from your food. Something you're like, oh yeah, I just hit the ball out of the park today.
I mean, pretty much whenever people approach our baked goods, that's when I get the most surprised. Like, there's beets in this muffin, there is ulu in this mochi, or it just surprises people. There's vegetables or in all of these, in all of these products, and they're like, is it good? Even though it doesn't have, what they're used to in it. And I'm like, you can always return it if you don't like it. And they're usually always completely stoked on the tasty treats.
Yeah.
So, and people who know what ulu is, I mean, just their level of excitement seeing an ulu cinnamon roll, for example, is just makes it totally worth.
So it's almost
the
like
effort.
both ends of the spectrum where you have the people who are like, whoa, there's ulu in there? I don't think I'm going to like that,
Yeah.
to, wow, I'm so excited there is ulu in there.
Right,
So that's kind of
totally.
like bridging that gap, which you guys are doing.
Definitely. I mean, there have definitely been people where I don't even know how to respond if they're like, oh, there's taro and ulu and cassava or something and everything. I was like, yes. They're like, you don't like any of those things. I'm like, I cannot help you. So, yeah.
How about you, Mike?
For us, it's, for me, it's the very, very local individuals and the people of the community. They come in and it's their first time being at a vegan restaurant or something like that. And they come in and they eat it and they're satisfied and they love it. For me, I love it. It's seeing the change. It's seeing the change in people. It's seeing people stepping out of their comfort zone and being pleasantly surprised. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome how between two people or, someone making food in the community to have those kind of effects on people and kind of just change perspectives.
Definitely.
So thank you so much. I don't really get a chance to talk to cafe owners or chefs, so it's just interesting to hear your perspective and get your thoughts on it. So thanks so much for
Cool, thank
joining
you.
us
Yeah,
today.
thank you guys.
Yeah.
So join us every Thursday from 4 to 5. Thank you.
Thank you.